Welcome back to the Oscar Project Podcast, the show where I discuss Oscar-nominated films year by year. I am your host, Jonathan Eaterberg, and today I'm bringing you an interview with Birdy Wei-Ting Hung, director of the short film A Brighter Summer Day for the Lady Avengers, which was selected as a winner at the 2024 Student Academy Awards. Before I jump into the interview, please be sure to subscribe to the show in your podcast player so you can get all the newest episodes as soon as they are released. If you like the interview and want to hear more, please consider leaving a rating and review in Apple Podcast or Spotify. Birdy Wei-Ting Hung is an MFA candidate at San Francisco State University's School of Cinema. Her creative work in music videos, narrative fiction, and video essays is inflected by her interests in experimental aesthetics and has been shown at the University of California, Berkeley Art Museum Pacific Film Archive, the San Francisco Independent Film Festival, and the Golden Melody Awards in Taiwan. She is a contributing author to Aaron Kerner's 2023 book, Abject Pleasures in the Cinematics, and she joins me on the podcast to talk about her short film, A Brighter Summer Day for the Lady Avengers, which was selected as a finalist in the experimental category of the 2024 Student Academy Awards. Birdy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to start off by talking a little bit about the title of your film. It's actually a combination of two film titles, The Lady Avenger from 1982 and A Brighter Summer Day from 1991. If you could talk a little bit about these two films and how they inspired you to make your film.
Sure, happy to do so. So my experimental short film, it's a long title. It's titled The Brighter Summer Day for the Lady Avengers. It sets in a hot summer day in 1980s Taiwan. It's about a teenage girl who is buying watermelon juice. She was on her way to a movie theater, and that's where she explores her sexual awakening with celluloid fantasies, so to speak. So it's really about a teenage girl's fever dream, and it's all shot on 60 millimeter. It really starts from a curiosity out of two particular Taiwanese women on screen. So one, as you mentioned, was Edward Young's A Brighter Summer Day in 1991. Edward Young was a internationally acclaimed Taiwanese film director. So in this film, the female protagonist, her name is Ming, actually was tragically murdered by the teenage boy. The reason why was because this boy suspected this little girl has multiple affairs with other boys. So he stabbed her with a Japanese short knife, tragically. And that's one. And the other Taiwanese woman's image on screen was Wan Qing in 1982, actually exploitation movies called The Lady Avengers, in which Wan Qing was really badass. She persecuted, so to speak, those 5 men who had wronged her. And then in one of the persecutions, she holding this Japanese long sword and then stabbed through this guy's stomach, right? So, but not without so-called punishment. So in this movie, she was actually eventually put in jail. So then, if we compare this to imagery, Taiwanese woman, it is really interesting that why are they always so tragical? Women are historically, we all know women are historically the best vessel for tragic stories. And then so I thought, what was this young girl Ming in A Brighter Summer Day thinking? How would she think? And what about I challenge myself to make a fun movie from her perspective.
Right.
I want to know about her fantasy. I want to know, and then adding to not just Taiwanese woman, right? Asian woman on a global screen. We are stereotypically passive. We're quiet. We're ready to be sacrificed in some ways. So that's why I wanted to make a film about this teenage girl's fantasy. I want the film is about her pleasure. She's not just another woman to be looked at. She can actually fantasize herself and have some fun in her wild imaginations. So that's my fairly long and a little chaotic answer.
No, I like that, and definitely. And I looked at the video essay that you did on those two films as well, and I could definitely see elements of both of them, even from those short clips in your film. Now, film and movies are obviously very formative experience for a lot of people, and you use it in your film. You show your main character going to the movies. What sort of impact did film and going to the movies have on you when you were growing up, and also what were some of your kind of lasting memories, your film experiences?
Yeah, this was a great question. And if I may twist it a little bit, I would love to talk about a movie going experience, which I actually did not have, but I researched and I really would love to have.
Sure.
So I was researching about Italian giallo film for a seminar, and then that was the moment I found the Taiwanese exploitation film, The Lady Avengers, in the 1982, right? So I still remember I saw this female protagonist, Lu Xiaofen, with the Japanese sword in her hand, and it was a bizarre feeling. It was reminiscent of Uma Thurman in Kill Bill.
Right.
So, and then the more research I did, there was actually hundreds of this so-called Taiwan pulp films in the late 70s and 80s. And I also learned about this understudy history of Taiwan's adult film screening. And when I say adult film, it was more about this kind of like soft core pornography we're talking about. It's quite different from the hardcore porn in, say, the U.S. golden era, so to speak. But it was more like Italian giallo film or sexploitation films in the U.S., yes, and then pink films in Japan.
Okay.
So, but the context was I was really surprised by Taiwan actually had a adult film screening history, because Taiwan endured the third longest martial law period in the world, which was lasting from 1949 to 1987. So during this period, we had really strong censorship. So any kind of female bodies were deemed as obscene.
Right.
So they're not supposed to be on screen whatsoever, right? So where did this come from? Where any like sexual content was technically not allowed to be screened, but we human beings are curious animals, right? So theater owners, according to the research I did by this amazing Taiwanese scholars Zhanshen, and so theater owners, they would get creative. They would smuggle exploitation films and then secretly screen it. So it's kind of like a cat and mouse game, so to speak. And in order to not get caught, the theater owner would be doing things like insert for what they will make their own like mashups of the popular softcore porn star like mashups, so to speak, and then like insert sequences during a normal screening. And then I found this type of screening experience really special, and it's not written on the film history book that I was reading. And so I was thinking, okay. Importantly, because this was all illegal, and there was no film rating system yet, right? So later on, after the martial law period, the censorship would be replaced by the film rating system, but that didn't happen until late 80s. So at these screenings, there would be like curious teenagers, and of course, we would imagine that most of the audience would be maybe middle-aged male, but they were curious teenage boys, and like arguably there are also teenage girls. Yeah, so that was the inspiration of like, I'm really curious if that was me, that I could be at those screenings. How would that feel?
Sure. No, that's interesting to think of it that way. I want to ask a little bit about the sound of the film. It was one of the first things I noticed when I started watching it. From the very beginning, there's things, you have the woman cutting up watermelon, and you can hear exactly what that sound is like. Towards the later on in the film, the character with the sword blade on the stair railing, things like that. So a lot of very memorable sounds throughout the film. How important was it to make the sound, enhance the visuals that you were putting on screen?
Yeah, you have a great list of questions here. I can talk about this on and on. Yeah, so I decided to make a film with no dialogue. And in fact, I want to make a film that is all about sensations, perhaps somewhat similar to like ASMR videos you see. So that's exactly some of my references. I want my opening just like ASMR,
Yeah.
and then I was actually like researching a bunch of ASMR influencers. Yeah, so because I think we are sensate animals, and sometimes we don't cognitively like know or understand why something is so attractive, something so interesting. And I think sound wave works exactly in that way. Like sound waves literally touches our body before we are cognitively being able to reflect on what was thinking about the plot, the story. So I wanted to experiment with soundscape. So my sound is there not to support the story or enhance the story, but in a way, I was thinking about sound first. That was my script.
Sure.
So that was the experimental part for me. So for me, it's like, I don't know if you have this experience, but like, have you ever watched something in a film, whatever, that is really fun, or like something makes you feel good, or makes you feel like, oh, wow, but you can't really say, so like, what is it about? Like, what's that film about? It's like, maybe about something, but it's not
just
exactly the plot, not the plot.
Right.
I don't know. So that's my goal for making this film.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely comes across there. Now, there's obviously so much that goes into making a film like this, even though it is, just a little bit over 10 minutes long. What sort of challenges did you come across with this production in particular as you were making it?
Yeah, well, I think it happens to most of the small or limited budget team, right, is money, right? So and then because of the nature of this film, it was in the 1980s. It's a film about films. And we decided to shoot it on 16 millimeter, which makes our because we don't have enough of budgets to buy film rolls, we have a certain amount of films, and then we could only have limited takes for each shot. So some of the shots, actually, sure, I have 1 or 2 takes. But because I had such an amazing team, it actually the challenge became something really enjoyable on the set. It was kind of like, okay, we talk first, right? We rehearse without the film rolling. And then everybody will be super concentrated on, because everybody's like, oh my God, we're shooting on like the real film, like the dynamic is there too. So actually this so-called challenge became something that's really memorable. And I think creatively, everybody were really able to put themselves in because of the budget limit. So I'm really grateful, and then I learned so much from that.
Sure, turn a negative into a positive.
That's what you can do.
Yeah, I also wanted to mention a little bit the end credits. It's not something we normally talk about when we talk about films, but I could tell that you had a lot of thought behind it. You've got some still images behind the credits that almost look like we're kind of seeing them through a kaleidoscope as they move around the screen. Was there any specific concept behind doing that for the end credits?
Yeah, thank you. I'm very proud of our end credits as well. So as you might have imagined, I love Jello films. And I particularly love Jello posters. Sure. Yes. So there's typically will be, especially the poster, there will be hand draw, right, and then who done it. So really a silhouette, and always a super scared or surprised female who would look directly to you, And then there'll be like mysterious leather gloves. There'll be some blood. There'll be a sharp knife, like always an intimate weapon, right? Like not a gun. So I think these are all elements that really gives a visceral vibe, which is one of the things that my film is talking about. Like I want to know the physical sensation or reaction. So I love all these elements. And also because my film was about a teenage girl goes to a so-called adult film movie theater. So I wanted the end credit to feel like we were looking through her eyes. It's almost like she was standing in front of a movie theater, looking at the movie posters. Only that, because this was also in her fantasy, only that she looked at these posters and these are all herself on the screen. So because that was her fantasy.
Right.
And then I love that you noticed the kaleidoscope, because it's a common filter that we were seeing in Giallo films. So that's my little nod, like little love letter to Giallo film. And thank you. I appreciate that.
That's really cool. I like that. Now, as a Student Academy Award finalist, and congratulations for that, of course, are there any festivals or other screenings coming up where people can check out the film?
Absolutely. We are going to Fantastic Fest at Austin, Texas, just in a couple of weeks in September 19th through 26th. So that was exciting. And we also got into Kaohsiung Film Festival in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. That's going to happen in mid-October. And there's a couple more to come.
Excellent. We'll keep an eye out for those. And I have a couple questions not specifically related to the film, but before I move on to those, is there anything else you wanted to touch on about A Brighter Summer Day for the Lady Avengers?
Just shout out to my amazing team. Shout out to my amazing actor and actresses. Love y'all.
Perfect. Well, this might be the hardest question I asked, but if you had to pick your top 3 films of all time, what would they be?
I can't. I can't. Well, unfair question, but yes.
Yes, it is.
In terms of, I'm gonna ask you the same question. So I'm curious about your answer. The first came to mind was Amir in 2009, made by this Belgian couple, Helena Catet and Bruno Franzani. Is also actually their film form and the story like heavily inspired my film. Right? It's also about a teenage girl, but it's like a 3-part story partially about the sexual awakening of this girl called Anna, and then there are 3 different actresses playing Anna. And it's a neo-giallo film, so I'm a big fan, obviously. And the other 2, I'll go for... I think I'll go for this Japanese film called Female Prisoner Number 701, Scorpion, and just because how cool the Lady Avenger in it, Meiko Kachi, she's my idol. And I think she inspired... her Meiko Kaji in Lady Snowblood actually inspired Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Right? The female character in Kill Bill. Yeah. So, third one, I think, goes to... Can I say 2? Suspiria's, both versions.
Okay.
Dario Argento.
We'll let that slide.
Yes. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, and along the same lines, if you could invite any 3 movie characters to your next dinner party, who would they be and why?
Yeah, this was a fun one. So I'd imagine a bloody dinner party, right? So Meiko Kaji in Lady Snowblood, and I think Edward Finnick in Giallo film All the Colors of the Dark, so that you have a screaming female and innocent character. And then Lu Xiaofen in The Lady Avengers. So I can imagine I would just be sitting there with a bucket of popcorn,
watching the chaos.
Yes, I love that.
Very good. And then do you also have any books that you could recommend that you've read recently? They could be fiction or nonfiction and don't necessarily have to be related at all to movies.
Yes. One came to mind is called Minor Feelings by Cathy Park Hong. So it's about, I've been recently learning, I'm a Taiwanese, resides in San Francisco. So I've been recently educating myself about Asian American histories. And Minor Feelings is a great essay, a combination of essays, so to speak, that really weave the whole Asian American histories from the point of view of a female, a woman. So I highly recommend that.
Excellent. Well, we'll put a link to that. People want to check that out. And lastly, before we wrap things up, do you have any other projects lined up that you're working on? And also, where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date on what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm seeking for inspirations for my next project. But I'm thinking about doing something I've never done before. I want to maybe create a social media account that is, making short videos and explore more about visual and sound. So maybe I'll create an ASMR account. I don't know. I don't know yet. Yeah, but stay tuned.
Excellent. And are you on any social media right now where people can follow you, or?
Yes, but that's like a personal account. Okay. So maybe you guys can wait for my ASMR
No problem.
account.
We'll keep an eye out for an ASMR channel.
Cool.
Well, Birdy, thank you so much for the time today, and thank you for sharing your film. I really appreciated getting to view it and learning a little bit about the making of the film.
Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you again to my guest today, Birdy Wei-Ting Hung. Her short film, A Brighter Summer Day for the Lady Avengers, is one of the winners at the 2024 Student Academy Awards. The Oscar Project podcast is written and produced by me, Jonathan Eaterberg, with editing assistance from Joshua Eaterberg. Please be sure to come back for my next episode, where I'll be speaking with Luke Morgan, director of the short film The Boat. Until then, I hope to see you at the movies.